we're gonna keep it going. We're gonna keep it going. We're gonna keep it going so that you can do more problems. All right. Take a look at this. This is actually, I like this one a lot. If y equals a times x to the fourth minus 3x and has a slope of negative 2 when x equals 1, what is the value of a? Well, remember, a is not a variable. It's just a constant. So we're trying to find a constant. Well, it's talking about a slope. Maybe I need the derivative, because the derivative is not only a rate of change of the independent variable the dependent variable with respect to the independent variable. It's not just a rate of change; it's also a slope. So, let's find the derivative. Yeah, let's find it. Y prime. That means y prime is 4a x to the third minus 3. Okay. Well, I know that y prime of when I plug in 1, it tells me right here, when I plug in 1, I get a negative 2. I get a negative 2. That's just from what the words tell me. And that means I could say, well, y prime is negative 2. I'm gonna put this right here, and I'm gonna put the 1 right here. Then I'll just solve for a. This should be quite straightforward. All right, so let's do that. So negative 2 equals 4a times 1 to the third minus 3. Well, that's just the same thing as 4a, right? 3, then negative 2, and I add 1. No, I add 3. Don't be silly. Add 3, and then what happens? It's just 1 equals 4a. So a equals 1/4 because I divided both sides by 4, and I'm just going to show that just so people don't say it skips too many steps. It's not hard to show. So a equals 1/4. That's, oh my goodness, a is a constant. That makes sense now because it's just 1/4. You know? All right, let's review that. If y equals all this stuff and has a slope of negative 2. Oh, that means the derivative equals negative 2 if you plug in 1 for x. And then it asks you to solve for a. That's all you do for that one. Maybe watch that one again. Try it on your own. I can't. You got to try it. This whole section is meant to scare you. But if you understand what I've been saying, where it's just constant numbers, you just use the power rule, it's not very scary at all. For instance, if I just take the derivative of this one, well, that was 1,002 times 3. That's 3,006. 3,006 is there, and then I just 1,001. I just subtract 1. And then a minus, I guess that's 3,000, x to the 2,999. What's the big deal? Oh, and then it says, what is it when x equals negative 1? I plug in negative 1 in there. That's all I'm doing. And then what I got? Well, negative 1 to an odd exponent is still negative 1. I wrote it down in case you forgot. That's all the way back in Algebra 1 we talk about that. So it's okay if you forget. But I put it in negative 1, and then it equals, y prime is, there's just still be negative. So it's negative 3,006, right? Because that's negative 1 right there. And then this is also negative 1. So I'm adding 3,000, right? So negative 1 there times a negative 3,000. That's just positive 3,000, and I get y prime is negative 6 when x equals negative 1. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? It's not that hard. That's pretty good. So look at this. Last example. Y equals x to the 6.5 plus x. all divided by the square root of x. Find dy dx. And then first you look at this and you say, he did it again. He did it again. Why does he do this? And then I'd say again, just slow down. Slow your roll. This is the same thing as x to the 6. You're gonna be like, oh, yeah, okay. The square root of x, that's just the same thing as x to the 1/2, right? You can change it into a fraction for the exponent. But instead of 1/2, I'm gonna say 0.5 because the top is as a decimal, so I'm gonna put the bottom as a decimal. And then plus x, that's to the 1 over x to the 0.5. Okay, all right. Why did he do that? Why? Well, when you have the same base, remember, you subtract the exponents. So y actually equals x to the 6th. Oh, that's beautiful. And what's 1 minus 0.5? Well, you got it. It's 0.5. All right? So now I could take the derivative. But first, I want to show you something. This is actually a shortcut to remember, to memorize, actually. Let's say dx of the square root of x. This is something to memorize. I will show you with this. I'll show you the proof of it with that. But something to memorize is that the derivative of the square root of x is just that. This is something to memorize. It becomes a whole lot faster. It makes things a lot easier if you just memorize that. Otherwise, you'll have to do the power rule every time. But I'm going to show you why in a moment. Okay, so let's take the derivative now. I got y prime equals 6x. Well, I shouldn't say y prime. They're asking for dy dx, so I might as well use the notation they're using. Dy dx equals 6x to the 5th. Easy. And then we got, 0.5 x to the, and then 0.5 minus 1 is negative 0.5. Okay. I'm going to change those decimals into fractions now. So dy dx plus, well, that's just 1/2, right? And then x to the negative 1/2. Well, if I have a negative exponent, I bring it down to the bottom. So dy dx equals 6x to the 5th plus 1 over 2x to the 1/2. Oh, but wait a minute. X to the 1/2 is just the square root of x. And then we have that. And it's all fine and dandy. That's the end of that problem. That's the end of these notes. Yeah, memorize that. Okay? It's one of the first. We're going to have to memorize a bunch of formulas. That's just the way it is, unless you want to prove it every time, but you don't have enough time to do that on the AP test. So memorize it. All right? Get out of my face.